Welcome to the July webinar of the International Institute for Learning. I'm Judy Umlis, and I'm host of the Center for Grateful Leadership, and that's a division of the International Institute for Learning. And I'm very happy to be here, and I'm so happy that you could make it with us. And I am thrilled and delighted to have with us a really great leader of a great company. Now, as you can see from behind me, the books behind me, I've written a couple on grateful leadership and the power of acknowledgement. So when I was looking for a really great speaker for this month's webinar, I Googled grateful leaders, and I've got some profiled in my book, but I've spoken about them before. I wanted somebody new to the International Institute for Learning's audience. And Garry Ridge kept coming up over and over again. No matter where I looked, Garry was there as a grateful leader. And I thought, well, that's a pretty exciting company to be a grateful leader in, because I don't know about you, and we're going to find out later, but I happen to have this on my shelf, WD-40, and I would bet half the human race has this on their shelf. But we'll find out for actual, real polling science evidence if that's the case. So anyway, I am thrilled to have Garry with us. He is passionate about learning and empowering organizations and creating a culture where people are happy, joyful, engaged, productive. And that's such a great affinity and alignment with the work we do here at IIL with the Center for Grateful Leadership. Garry joined the WD-40 company in 1987, and he's been in senior positions ever since then. And he's also an adjunct professor at the University of San Diego, where he teaches the principles and practices of corporate culture in the Master of Science in Education Executive Leadership program. I'd love to be in that course. I bet that's fun. Now, in 2009, he co-authored a book with Ken Blanchard, and it was outlining his effective leadership techniques. And it was called Helping People Win at Work, a business philosophy called Don't Mark My Paper, Help Me Get an A. And that is such a great title. He's also written this other wonderful little book, which is a great and easy read, Tribe Culture, How It Shaped WD-40, and I highly recommend it to everyone. So, Garry, I want to welcome you here, and please share how you achieved these incredible results at WD-40 and in 70 of your companies around the world.
Yeah, good morning, Judy, and to all those that are with us today. It's just an absolute delight to be with you. I'm grateful that I could be with you, and I'm going to try and share my screen, and hopefully everyone can see it. Is my screen being shared, Judy?
Yes.
Okay, let's get on with the game today. So today, what I'm going to share with you is some of the principles that we've learned over time around building a culture that really I describe as this. Imagine a place where you go to work every day, you make a contribution to something bigger than yourself, you learn something new, you're protected and set free by a compelling set of values, and you go home happy. Because we believe that happy people build happy families build happy communities, and happy communities build a happy world, and I think you'll all agree that we need a happy world. So as I often say, it's all about the people. Purpose-driven, passionate people guided by their values create amazing outcomes. Pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work, and I think you'd all agree with me that we do things at a higher level of perfection when we really enjoy doing them. Well, when I first heard this and researched where it came from, I was astonished, because Aristotle, who was born in 384 BC, actually made that quote. So I'm guessing we're a little bit slow in learning when it comes to understanding the importance of pleasure in the job. There's been a lot of talk in recent times, as we've been on this COVID roller coaster, about the Great Resignation. Well, I thought about it in a different way. I call it the Great Escape. I wrote an article recently in LinkedIn where I asked this question: are people escaping from or escaping to your culture? And I think that's a great question to ask. A friend of mine, Hubert Joly, wrote a book called The Heart of Business, and he did some research in that book during COVID, and it was done by ADP Research Institute. They surveyed over 19,000 workers in 19 countries around the world, and they found that only 16% of people were fully engaged at work. In fact, 8 out of 10 workers merely show up for work. Millions of people are denied the chance to be inspired at work, to thrive, and to be their very best. And that's very disappointing. In some recent Gallup research that I was reviewing, the engagement level varied from kind of a low of 14 in Europe to a high of 33%. So as leaders, can we be proud of the fact that in the United States, even 66% of the people who go to work every day are disengaged or actively disengaged? We've been taking employee opinion surveys at WD-40 Company since the year 2000. In our latest survey, 98% of the people said they love to tell people they work at WD-40 Company. So my question is why? Why would anybody love to work at a company that basically sells oil in a can? Well, we actually don't sell oil in a can. As I'll show a little later, we're actually in the memories business. And one of our values is that we value creating positive, lasting memories. So let me introduce you to an undesirable person. This is Al, the soul-sucking CEO of Fear Inc. Someone that I made up because I want to talk about Al's behaviors. I want to talk about the behaviors that create these toxic cultures where people don't go to work each day engaged, where they're not fulfilling their own personal self. So during the presentation later, I'm going to share with you Al's bad attributes. But for now, let's talk a little bit about this. Imagine a place where you go to work each day, you make a contribution to something bigger than yourself, you learn something new, you feel safe and are protected and provided freedom by a set of values, and you go home happy. Why is that important? Well, in today's world, happy people create happy families create happy communities, and happy communities create a happy world. And there's no time in our history where creating a happy world is more important than now. And business has the opportunity to be a positive change if we create cultures where people actually do go home happy or contented because of the engagement that they've had. Culture is not an initiative. Culture is an enabler of all initiatives. And I want to take you back a little bit of time. As you may gauge by my accent, and as Judy mentioned, I'm originally from Australia. So I went to a high school in Australia called Des Moines Boys High School. Its motto was, he conquers who conquers himself. And when you think about it, leadership is all about knowing who you are. Because if you know who you are, then you have the opportunity to lead others. So we have to conquer ourselves. Anyhow, I had a science teacher. This is my science building. And in a science class one day, our teacher gave us a petri dish. And they said, in this petri dish, we're going to grow culture. So what's important to us as we think about growing positive culture in this petri dish or in our organizations? Well, first thing is, what do you put in the petri dish? So in growing a culture within an organization, you're putting in values and you're putting in behaviors of the leadership in that petri dish. And then what is our role in growing that culture? We need to watch that petri dish every day. And I adapted something from some of Simon Sinek's work, where he wrote in his book, The Infinite Game, that culture equals values plus behavior. Well, Simon's a friend of mine, and I spoke to him. I said, Simon, we missed a word. We should have put consistency. So here is my algorithm for culture. Culture equals values plus behavior times consistency. You need to have a set of values in the organization that are the guiding light, that are the only acceptable behaviors that you accept in that organization. And you have to have a leadership that ensures that these values are lived, not visited. And you have to have leaders who care about their people and love their people enough, not only to reward them and applaud them for doing great work, but are brave enough to redirect them when their behavior is not helping them get their A. And you need to do it consistently. You need to watch that petri dish and watch out for toxins and behaviors that enter it, because if they enter, they will turn the culture sour very quickly. So when I was given the privilege to lead WD-40 Company as the CEO some 25 years ago, I'm just about to finish my 25-year apprenticeship in leadership. I attended the University of San Diego, where I now teach, and I did a master's degree in leadership, and that's where I met my dear friend and my mentor, Dr. Ken Blanchard. And at the end of the program, in our capstone class, we were challenged by the faculty on whether we could actually put a business model together that would take all of what we've learned around servant leadership and building great cultures, and could we put that together and execute it? And I was able to do that. And this is the latest version of that model. And what it says is there are 4 things in an organization that you need to be successful. You need people, you need purpose, you need passion, and you need products. So how do we build that? Well, firstly, people culture is all about belonging, and I'm going to talk about that a little later, about why we respect the attributes of tribalism around the world. I'm not talking about one particular tribe or one particular indigenous group. What I'm talking about is what we've learned, that tribes, whether they be the early Ugg the caveman or us in families we are truly tribal. You need purpose. You know, why do we exist every day? You need values that set yourself free. You certainly need a clear and executable strategy, and you need tactics to do that as a bold executor. But more importantly, you need the will of the people. And the will of the people is the engagement of the people in your culture, and that is dramatically affected by your leadership. And then you need to reduce fear. So one thing that was a huge learning was we're going to remove the word failure from our organizations. We're going to replace the word failure with learning moments. And I'm going to share with you the definition of that. And then this sits on 4 pillars of care, candor, accountability, and responsibility. In an organization, when you care about your people, it's really about your empathy eating your ego instead of your ego eating your empathy. You have to love your people enough to not only reward them and applaud them for doing great work, but to be brave enough to redirect them when you need to. Candor to us is no lying, no faking, no hiding. I believe most people in organizations don't lie. I believe they fake and they hide. And the reason they fake and hide is because of the fear that's created around the fear of failure and the fear of leadership, with leadership attributes like Al, the soul-sucking CEO. You need accountability. Most people let people down in life because there's not a clear definition of what are we going to hold each other accountable for. That's what we describe in the book that we wrote with Ken Blanchard, calling Helping People Win at Work. Do we actually know what an A looks like? And then as the coach, are we there helping people get that A? And then responsibility is, what are we going to do to accept responsibility? And we have a pledge of responsibility that I will share with you. So let's think a little bit about reducing fear. And as I said to you, reducing fear is all about, we don't make mistakes, we have learning moments. A huge enabler in organizations. And the definition of a learning moment is a positive or negative outcome of any situation that is openly and freely shared to benefit all people. I don't see too many people running down corridors, high-fiving each other saying, I failed, I just made a mistake. But what I do hear a lot is people saying, I had a learning moment. Here was what I was trying to achieve. This was the outcome. It was positive. This is what was positive about what I did. I want to share that positive with you so you can take that in a positive way and implement it somewhere in the organization. Or I had a negative outcome. This is what I wanted to achieve, but I didn't quite get there. And here's what I learned from that. Here's my after action review around that. Here's how I want to make you aware of not having that learning moment so you can achieve what you want to achieve. So reducing fear is about not making mistakes, but having learning moments. Managers manage bank accounts and inventory. In organizations, we don't want to have managers. What do we want? We want to be coaches. And I love this definition of coach that Adam Grant shared. He said, it's easy to be a critic or a cheerleader. It's harder to be a coach. A critic sees your weaknesses, attacks your worst self. A cheerleader sees your strengths and celebrates your best self. A coach sees your potential and helps you become a better version of yourself. So in our organization, you don't report to your manager, you report to your coach. And the coach's job is to help you get an A. So there's a contract that goes into play around what is the contract of a coach? Well, it's pretty easy. A great coach is committed to helping the player get an A. And if we think about any great coach we've ever watched in anything around the world, football, baseball, basketball, the great coach does not run onto the field and ever take the ball. They are not a micromanager. They spend time on the sideline watching the play. They add value to the player with feedback on how to improve the play, because the coach and the coachee have a very clear understanding of what an A looks like. What have they agreed? They never go to the podium and pick up the prize. Never go to the podium and pick up the prize. And they spend a lot of time in the locker room building trust in the locker room of conversation. So these are the attributes that are of great coaches. If you're being coached, you agree what an A looks like and are committed to getting that A. But you also agree to accepting the feedback from the coach, because the coach's role is to help you play your better game. You agree that at times we might seek feedback from other spectators or players to identify how they think you're playing, or are they cheering you on from the bleachers? So the coaching contract is a very important part of the relationship in building a highly effective organization with a culture that is a competitive advantage. And in reading the book that Judy wrote on grateful leadership, it was very obvious to me that the elements of grateful leadership, the 5 C's of acknowledgement, were very, very deep in the need of coaching. Becoming conscious, making choices, having courage, being a great communicator, and having a commitment to being grateful, and being sure that coaching that you're giving is in a grateful way is very important to the outcome of being a great coach. In organizations, we've talked about values, and what's important about values is they are the clearly defined, not rules, but freedom providing framework with an organization. These are our values at WD-40 Company. I love Seth Godin. He said, people like us do things like this. So our values are hierarchical. The number 1 value has more power than the number 6 value. The number 1 value is we value doing the right thing. The number 2 value is we value creating positive, lasting memories in all of our relationships. And an example of how values can help you be a great leader and a great coach is one that I'd like to share with you. Some time ago, I was in a meeting at the company early one morning, and there was a number of our leaders sitting around, and we were discussing a particular topic. And there was one leader in the room that was not creating positive, lasting memories. They were having a very bad morning. They were throwing some toxins into that petri dish that was very unusual. So what do you do as a leader in that situation where your job is to protect and watch that petri dish? Well, of course, You want to do what you need to do to stop those toxins sending the culture in that room at that time sour. So option one, you stop the meeting, you reprimand the person for their behavior. Doesn't work too well. The person gets embarrassed and everyone else in the room thinks, when's the next time that leader, that owl, is going to embarrass me in front of everyone else? Not a good idea. Option two, do nothing. You've now negated your responsibility of keeping that petri dish in a form that's going to grow great culture. So how could you use the values of the organization to coach that person? So as a great coach, you're observing the play. So the meeting ended. And after the meeting, I said to the person, hey, let's go for a walk. So we walked out of our building and I started to look behind a car, under a trash can, behind a bush, and I could see the frustration on this person's eyes, someone I'd worked with for many years. And they said, what the hell are you doing? I said, I'm looking for you. What do you mean? I said, the you that I know and love was not in that room today. The you that I know and love lives our value of creating positive, lasting memories was not in the room today. I observed that. Are you okay? What's on your mind? And we started a conversation. And obviously the person had had a bad morning, got up late, kicked their foot on a bed, spilled some coffee on the way to work, someone flipped them off, had 2 phone calls on the way in that didn't, and they got to by the time they got to the office, they'd been primed for a bad day. The toxins were working. So we had a conversation around all that. And, at the end of that conversation, we kind of hugged, and the person said, hey, thank you for being my coach, watching my play, and identifying that I didn't play real well today. And obviously the people in the bleachers would have seen that as well. So what did that person do? They went back inside. They went to see the people that were in that meeting. And they said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. They said, we know that's not you. Are you okay? And see, I'm okay. I just had a bad morning. They were forgiven. The next morning, what do I observe? People going to that person and saying, are you okay today? Is there anything I can do? So you can use values in the organization to be a great coach, but you need to establish these values and know what they stand for. Doing the right thing in our company is really important. And if these weren't hierarchical, another example of this is we value sustaining the WD-40 economy, which is we need to create a profit stream that supports our organization. But doing the right thing to us is more important, and here's an example of that. We have a mandatory in our company that we'll have no cancer-causing chemicals in any product we sell. However, we could buy ingredients that would need us to put Prop 65 warnings on our product that were actually less expensive than the high-grade ingredients we use, and we would be more profitable. But that would not be doing the right thing. So our people in supply and production have no problem in making the right decisions about what we're going to use in our product. We value succeeding as a tribe while excelling as individuals, which means we're there for the collective tribe to grow and be successful, but we want to excel as individuals when we do that. So values within an organization are so important, and they really support our just cause. And our just cause is to help make life better at work and at home. A group of people that come together to protect and feed each other. I talked about responsibility. So we have a pledge for responsibility, something that people can refer to, and we call it our Maniac Pledge. And it says, I'm responsible for taking actions, asking questions, getting answers, and making decisions. I won't wait for someone to tell me if I need to know. I'm responsible for asking. I have no right to be offended that I didn't get this sooner. And if I'm doing something others should know about, I am responsible for telling them. That fourth pillar of responsibility is clearly defined. And often we hear in the organization people saying, Maniac Pledge, I need to know this. Can you share it with me? So responsibility clearly defined in our Maniac Pledge. Belonging. One of the biggest needs we have as human beings is to belong. I am convinced and sure that everybody who is on this call today has either left a company, a boss, or even a relationship because they didn't feel like they belong. That's why people leave organizations. It's a shame, as Ken Blanchard said, that most people don't know, they only know they've done a good job because no one yelled at them today. But we need to belong. And Maslow talks about that in his hierarchy to self-actualization. The first two rungs most organizations provide, but this one of love and belonging. And what's our definition of belonging? We believe belonging is the psychological feeling of acceptance, of connectedness, security, support, inclusion, and identity. So important to us around belonging. And that's why we call ourselves a tribe. And you might ask, why am I showing you a boomerang from Australia? Well, I use an example of thinking about the Indigenous Australians many years ago. If we were to fly down and observe that group of people having a tribal meeting, what would the tribal leader be doing? The tribal leader would be teaching them to throw a boomerang. Why? Because the boomerang was the tool of survival. And if they couldn't use the boomerang to survive and hunt, the tribe would probably not survive. So what's the number one responsibility of a tribal leader, not mattering what tribe you're in? If in your tribal home, your home is a tribe, what's your number one responsibility as the head leader of that, or of your home? Number one responsibility of every tribal leader is to be a learner and a teacher. So our tribal promises to people is our attributes. Number one, we will be learners and teachers. We're here to learn and help teach our tribe members what they need to know to help them get an A. We have values in the organization that protect them and set them free. We have belonging by respecting people and with respect and dignity and treating them as described in the definition of belonging earlier. We're future focused. Great tribes are always looking to the future, identifying what's coming over the horizon. How do we prepare ourselves for the future? We identify that there's going to be specialized skills, diversity within the organization. Some people are going to be better at doing some things than the others. We're going to be warriors because we're there as a group of people that come together to absolutely protect and to absolutely feed each other. We're going to be warriors, and we're going to celebrate because life's a gift. Don't send it back unwrapped. We're going to unwrap this thing as fast as we can. So how do we describe a tribe? As individuals and as an organization, we aspire to live up to the behaviors of a tribe. For us, a self-sustaining, interdependent tribe shares common attributes such as values, knowledge, celebration, ceremony, and a strong sense of belonging. Each tribe member is recognized for their specialized skills and their contributions to benefit the greater good of the tribe. Through these efforts, tribal culture becomes a self-sustaining place where people want to stay and grow. So let's get back to the undesirable. Al, the soul-sucking CEO. So in the slides that I've shared and what I've shared with you earlier, I've tried to outline the elements that need to be in place to create an organization where people are grateful, that they have a place to go to work where they're respected. But you can have leaders in organizations that have behaviors that continually put toxins into that petri dish. So let's take a moment to look at Al's behaviors. What are these behaviors that as leaders create these toxic cultures that are not for the organization? So number one, Al is a master of control. He wants to control everything. He needs to know everything. He needs to be the one. Remember, Al is in charge. Al is corporate royalty. Al has spent many years climbing up this corporate ladder. They shall respect Al. Al probably has the biggest office in the building, maybe a private parking spot. Al probably doesn't spend a lot of time down in the general cafeteria because that's not where the Als go. So, Al is this corporate royal person that needs to be treated like a king or a queen. Al thinks learning is for losers. Why would we want to invest all of that talent and treasure in helping people learn more? My goodness, that won't fall to the bottom line. We don't want to have a fully developed training and development program in the company. We want to just take those short-term profits to the bottom line. Why would we invest in the future? Al's ego eats his empathy instead of his empathy eating his ego. It's all about me, 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 me. Al says it's about me. It's about what I am. That's what Al says. Al has all the answers, the right ones, and a lot of times the wrong ones, but they're always the answers. And we certainly don't want to have to correct Al. He must always be right. And when he's wrong, he must always be right. And if things go wrong, he blames you. If things go right, he takes the credit. So Al believes he must always be right. Al loves a fear-based culture. It's not about learning moments, it's about failure, because if there's failure, Al can punish you. Al can be that fear-based leader, because he thinks it's fear of losing your job or fear of not getting that promotion that actually drives you to optimal performance, which is absolutely the opposite at all. You're ready to escape. You're one of those escapees from organizations, escaping to a culture where you're recognized. He thinks micromanagement is absolutely essential. He's the worst coach in the world. He is running on the field all the time. He's picking up the ball. He's wanting to play. He wants, just as you're about to kick the goal, he kicks it instead. He just wants to micromanage everything. He doesn't follow through with his commitments. Oh, and boy, oh boy, does Al hate feedback. He does not want to hear anything about what his performance is. He doesn't want to hear from the bleachers. He doesn't want to hear from his other players, not Al. But what about the servant leader, the grateful leader, the one that's there to help grow the organization through the real essence of grateful and servant leadership? Well, let's look at what they do. Servant leaders involve and love their people. They're always in grateful and servant leadership mode. They are expected to be competent. They love learning and sharing that learning. They are connected with high emotional intelligence. They're the ones that are in the canteen or in the break room. They're the ones that are spending the time in the locker room, because the locker room is where the connectedness is, being a real human person, so important. They love learning moments, because learning moments allow them to amplify what works well and to identify what didn't work so well, so that we don't have to have multiple learning moments around the same subject. They have a heart of gold, but they also have a backbone of steel. Leadership is this balance between being tough-minded and tender-hearted, and the genius is in the middle. So great leaders have to make tough decisions, but they do it with a heart of gold, being both grateful for the people, grateful for the effort, but also understanding that there are times when there are certain areas of the business that they have to really understand and pay attention to. They are champions of hope. Al is not a champion of hope. He's a champion of fear, but the leaders are a champion of hope. Leaders know micromanagement is not scalable, absolutely not scalable. So, if someone is really dedicated to micromanagement, you can't scale it. But if you have an organization with clear values and purpose, you can scale it. Leaders do what they say they're going to do. They're very dependable. You can count on that person for what they've promised you. And leaders treasure the gift of feedback. They're always asking, what are they saying in the bleachers? What are other players thinking? What do you think? How can I better improve my game? So, does all this work? Well, I shared with you one of the metrics that we had at WD-40 Company. We have an employee engagement level of 93%. In the early Gallup numbers that I shared with you saw that in the United States, the average at the moment is 33%. I think it's lower than that. But we have 93% engagement. 98% of people say they love to tell people they work at our company. I know what results are expected of me, 96%. Do you remember one of the pillars, accountability? So one of the ways to feel satisfied in your work is to know what you hold yourself accountable for and what's expected of you. And once you achieve that, you feel good. So they know what results are expected of them. I feel my opinions and values are a good fit with the WD-40 Company culture. 97% of our people globally say they feel that their values are a good fit with the company. So again, part of the ingredients to the teepee dish is this understanding of how values are not only there to protect you, but to set you free. Look at this one. 97% of our tribe globally, and we have offices in 17 countries around the world. We sell our product in 176 countries across many cultures. 97% say they respect their coach. Now remember, the coach is their boss. Most people leave organizations because they hate their boss. Why do you think they respect their coach? Because the coach is dedicated not to marking their paper, but to helping them get an A, helping them every day to step into the best version of their personal self. And 94% of people say they're excited about the future. And here we are in very uncertain times. In fact, one of the things that's really interesting about that measurement, as I said to you, we take employee opinion surveys every 2 years. We took one just before COVID started in March 2020. In January 2021, I said, I need to go and see if we can find out if we've drained any cultural equity. I didn't think we had. We were very alert. We were spending time in the virtual locker rooms as well as where we could in person. So we went and did the survey again. This number during that time was not 94%, it was 98%. And we dug in and we asked our people, we're in a time of turmoil. It's January 2021. Vaccines aren't out. We don't know what the world's going to do. Why would you be excited about the future? And you know what they said to us? If we can get through this together, we can get through anything together. We are keeping our tribal promise of a group of people that come together to protect and feed each other. Funnily enough, during COVID, by the end of the year, we had our best year in the company's history. Oh, and by the way, this is not just delivering satisfaction to our people. Over the last 20 years, we've had a compounded annual growth rate of total shareholder return of 15% a year. We're a public company listed on the NASDAQ stock exchange. We've taken our market cap from about 300 million to about 2.5 billion. And we've just about 5x'd our revenue over that period of time, building our brand in many countries around the world. So, my theory, our people's will times strategy equals success. Low will of the people in good strategy. You can have a strategic plan that's been graded at 70 out of 100, but if only 10% of the people in your organization go to work every day and are passionate about the purpose and executing on that, your outcome's 700. But what happens if you had 80% of your people with a high will of the people in good strategy, 5,600? So it is all about the people. It's a good strategy, but it's all about the people. I believe purpose-driven, passionate people guided by their values create amazing outcomes. Why do I believe that? Because we've proven it. We've proven it with our engagement and we've proven it with our results. Business must be a force of good in the world today. You today have the opportunity to influence someone in a positive way or a negative way. Isn't the positive way better? You know, I read a quote years ago, and it was by the Dalai Lama, and it was this quote: our purpose in life is to make people happy. If we can't make them happy, please don't hurt them. Please don't be a leader of like Al. Please don't hurt your people. Treat them as they are, someone's precious child. Be grateful for what they do, and you will have a life that's fulfilled by being able to help those step into the best version of their personal self. And I'll finish with one of my favorite quotes from one of the great leaders of the world, Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it's done. This slide gives you some places where you can contact me. The best place to get me is on LinkedIn. Please connect with me, message me there. You'll be able to access some of my articles that I do. I also have a website called thelearningmoment.net. And with that, I will stop sharing my screen and I will pass it back to our host for the day, Judy.
Well, thank you, Garry. And I know I speak for everybody who's here today and who will see this presentation in the future. You make us proud to know you and to know that a business leader of your caliber can be changing the world and making things better all the time, every day. And I have to say that, you know, what summarizes it for me is this slide. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, we are hoping to be in slideshow mode. Well, you can see the slide, and that is what you just said. Purpose-driven, passionate people guided by their values create amazing outcomes. And I say that everyone who is drawn to the Center for Grateful Leadership, a division of International Institute for Learning, is a purpose-driven, passionate person guided by their values and creating amazing outcomes. I really do believe that. And I think that it's not everybody who is that way, but that we can all have the possibility of modeling this for other people all the time, wherever we are, even if we're not yet in a WD-40 company. So let's open the floor to questions now. We have, and a lot of questions were coming into the question box. Stephen, if you want to pull up some of the ones that really are direct questions for Garry, some of them were observations.
Yep, I'll
And
skim through. Hold on. Okay.
I know I saw, someone just said this presentation is a grand slam. And I thank you for that comment. That was lovely. I was captured by every slide, said somebody else. And someone said, is there a copy of the engagement index available? I know Gallup has one, Garry. Is that the one that you use also? I think it might be.
The engagement survey we use is done by a local company in San Diego called Peter Barron Stark and Associates. We've been using them forever, but there are the Gallup 12 questions that are out there. If they're referring to the slide that I shared with our results on it, it is in our investor relations deck, which they can find at wd40company.com in the investor relations section. We publish that to our investor community because it's one of our huge competitive advantages. And today, more than ever, as we talk about ESG, the investment community are looking for companies that really do value the power of culture, because it's such a huge driver and amplifier in businesses.
Yes, absolutely. And
Okay,
Andre Percival. Oh, sorry, Stephen. Did you have one?
No, I found questions are coming in now.
Yeah, I
Great
saw it.
presentation and approach to running an organization. Is there a way to begin implementing other than starting with role modeling?
Yeah, sure. If you go to my model, the first thing you need to do is have a leadership team who is committed to the fact that it's people who really matter, that they're grateful for the people who are coming to work every day. So then once you've done that and you've identified that, you'll form your own type of belonging society, if you will, call it whatever you want. And that's a commitment to the people. Then the next thing is making sure that you have a clearly defined purpose or why in the business. Our why statement or our purpose is we exist to create positive, lasting memories, solving problems in factories, homes, and workshops around the world. We solve problems and create opportunities. So now that's why we get up every day, to create positive, lasting memories. Then you have you need to put your values infrastructure in place, and then you need to adopt the philosophy of failure isn't failure, failure is learning. Start to develop a team of coaches that are there, and the team becomes the people that are helping people succeed. And stick it on 4 pillars of care, candor, accountability and responsibility. And this is simple, not easy, and time is not your friend. You've got to do it consistently, day after day after day after day. So it gets back to that formula. culture equals values plus behaviors times consistency. And each one of those elements have an infrastructure that you have to put underneath it.
How do you join your team in the locker room if you're working from home?
We have virtual locker rooms. We have coffee chats. It doesn't have to be formal. So, there are times in the days when, we'll say, if you want to talk to a leader, we're going to be in this room, come talk to us. We have, coffee chats on a Friday morning where people come together and we bring presenters into the room. We talk about gratitude. One of the great people around gratitude, and I think you know him, Judy, is Chester Elton. He wrote the book Leading with Gratitude.
Yes.
Chester's a dear
We've
friend.
had him as a speaker also, Garry.
Great. Well, Chester's a dear friend of mine, and we've had him come in and do sessions on gratitude. We have other people. So, sending people little notes from home. I send a message out every morning to our tribe globally, and it says for today from, and it's from wherever I am in the world. And it's usually a little inspirational message or a quote. So there's that connectiveness. And, I sent one out this morning, which I love the story. And if I can find it, I want to share it with you because it was very, very special. Let me see if I can pull it up here, and I want to read it to you because I really thought it was special. It was the graphic of the one this morning was a raven on the back of an eagle, and here's what it said: the only bird that dares to peck an eagle is the raven. It sits on the eagle's back and bites its neck. However, the eagle doesn't respond or fight with the raven. It does not spend any time or energy with the raven. It just opens its wings and begins to fly higher in the sky. The higher the flight, the harder it is for the raven to breathe, and the raven eventually falls due to the lack of oxygen. Not all battles you need to respond to, not all arguments or critics you need to respond or answer back to. Just lift yourself up, fly higher, they will fall off. Stop wasting time with ravens. Just take them to the height, and they will take them to your height, and they will fade away. So that's an example of, and that was today's message that I sent out to our tribe.
Can we get on your mailing list, Garry? Just about 1,000 of us. That's a wonderful. It's a wonderful practice.
In fact, after August 31st, I will be sending that out under my Learning Moment email. So if anybody wants to get on the For Today list, please send me an email to Garry@thelearningmoment.net and just say For Today. And from September on, you'll get a For Today message from me on my morning email.
That's wonderful. And I just want to read this question by Judith Grimm. She said, how do you keep your values in challenging times and recession? Do you sacrifice profit to keep people, or do you let people go? Now, that's a really hard question.
One of the things we're most proud of in the company in the 25 years that I've had the opportunity to lead, we've never laid one person off in hard times. And the reason, and here's the philosophy behind that: it's better that all of us suffer a little than a few of us suffer a lot. So certainly we've had to make changes, but we've also been fortunate that we've had a company that's very resilient. We've never scaled up in a way that makes it that we have to scale down. And we ensure that our values are important to us. So as you know, the last one was to sustain the WD-40 economy. So we're very proud of the fact that we've been able to lead the business in a way that we've never had to lay anybody off in the organization, because it's people that really matter. Now, I must say, I do get feedback from time to time from people that, hey, we've got a little more to do than we need to do, but I say, well, yeah, but we're secure, so that's okay.
Well, that's a real role model for corporations around the world, and I congratulate you and acknowledge you on that. Very, very inspiring. And Garry, we want to do a little poll. I would bet has never been done for you at a public gathering before. May
Go
we
ahead.
do that? I gave you a hint of it before, but Stephen, let's put the poll up because I really am interested in the results. I imagine you will be too.
Thank you.
Okay, so the poll, there you go. The poll is open. And let's see, do we click on poll? Yes, you have to click on the little arrow.
They're voting.
Okay, good. Everybody is, they're starting it.
It's been open for 25 seconds.
Whoa, now the question is, have you ever, let's see, where is the question? I don't see the question.
The question is, I have a can of WD-40.
Oh
Yes,
yeah, I have a can. It got very light. Yeah, in my home somewhere on a shelf in a drawer. Can we tell how many? Oh yeah, there are the
Yeah,
numbers.
I'll close it in 10 seconds.
Uh,
Show the results.
Well, 87%, that's not bad. I want to see it go up to 90 because everybody I asked, except one, said yes. 69% have voted. All right, 87%. That is fantastic to have your product, Garry, in so many places, in so many homes, so many garages. Okay,
that actually lines up with our research where 8 out of 10 households in the United States have a can of WD-40. So this is nearly 9 out of 10 households.
And it's global, Garry. This
Yep.
is global. People are here from all over the world. Okay, second question is, one more question. WD-40 has saved my day at least once. I'm not allowed to vote, but I think I push you over the 90 mark. Wow, look at this.
I'll leave it open for 30 more seconds.
All right, and you know, the amazing thing about this is that who would not consider their company a huge dynamic success with user numbers like this? But I think the more important success rate statistic is employee satisfaction, engagement, happiness, joy, all those other things that I know you believe in so strongly, Garry. So,
Absolutely.
okay, 89%. It has saved the day at least once. And that was fun. I just wanted to validate my instincts. Hope you don't mind.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, so this was what I think really links your work and our work and the world's work. This is what the world should be focusing on. So I wanted to just bring you to an offering of IILs that's very well aligned with everything Garry was talking about today. And he did mention the 5 C's of acknowledgement from the Grateful Leadership book. And we are making that available to everyone here. Stephen is putting that link to the 5 C's of acknowledgement, the actual poster of what was in the Grateful Leadership book. Garry adapted it a bit, but it was very in sync with what we believe in. But I want you all to feel free to go and to see, to get that and to download it. You're welcome to keep it, share it, start your meetings with it, tape it to your walls. I once was doing a training session in Connecticut, and I got to the Starbucks where the company was in the main building. It was right next to the company where I was training. And they had a 5-foot poster, no kidding, of the 5 C's of acknowledgement on the Starbucks door. Now, I don't know how long it stayed up, but it's a useful tool, and I invite you to take advantage of it. Also, the on-demand course, The Power of Acknowledgement, and the Grateful Leadership on-demand course, they're very in sync with everything Garry has said today. And you will find it's a way of making it happen in your organization. It starts with one person, but from that point on, you can share it with other people. And there are many tools and techniques. We have just launched, speaking of coaching, Garry, thank you for making coaching such a powerful offering that people have, the benefits of being a coach, of being coached. We are just now launching the Power of Acknowledgement coaching sessions. And we have an acknowledgement competency assessment that you start with, and then we do the coaching. And often it can be in conjunction with an on-demand course, but it can also be one-on-one or group team coaching. I want to make everybody aware of 2 online conferences that we have. One is in the on-demand period now for Agile and Scrum. It was fabulous. Great speakers, 26 hours of programming. You can get tons of PDUs. You just go to IIL.com, online conferences, to find out more. And International Project Management Day launches on November 3rd, and we hope you will all sign up early for it and get lots of notifications. And rumor has it that perhaps Garry might like to do an IPM Day presentation for us. Just a thought. We won't, make it official or anything. Haven't asked yet. I can be reached also on LinkedIn. That's the best way to reach me as well. I am very quick to answer your questions. If you want, you can also send it to my email, judy.umlis@iil.com. And we have about 2 minutes left if anybody has any questions. And Stephen, if you would keep an eye out for that. I really want to thank Garry so much for being here today. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and it's been a lot of fun. It really has. And I hope everybody has enjoyed this time, and more importantly, that they have benefited from it and know that it can be done. You can have profit and purpose in the same organization. Garry, any closing words you'd like to say?
Thank you. It's been a delight to be with you all, and life's a gift. Don't send it back unwrapped.
I love it. Okay, thank you. And I didn't see any last minute questions. I believe we have 1 minute left, or 2 minutes left. If there's anything, Stephen.
A lot of thank yous and great presentations.
All right, well, that's wonderful. And I want to just let you know, we will be having another great speaker in September. We don't have the exact date yet, and we will be sending out announcements to everybody who is on the list. Of course, it will be up on the IIL.com website. It'll be on the Center for Grateful Leadership website. But if you want to automatically get a notification, you can join the Center for Grateful Leadership, gratefulleadership.com, and you will be on the list to receive any notifications of future webinars, podcasts, and exciting things to come. So thank you all, and have a great day. Put everything Garry has inspired us to do to work today. Thank you so much, Garry.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.